Welcome back to the thrilling crime-solving journey of Xu Qi'an in the Nightwatcher, Chapter 71. Whispers of the Uncanny. As the silver coins were placed upon the altar, Xu Qi'an stepped into the small courtyard, where 7 or 8 guests were already seated, sipping tea and engaging in light-hearted chatter, their demeanor effortless and refined. In the corner, a group of 6 dancers dressed in diaphanous gowns twirled gracefully, their slender waists bending with fluid elegance, curving around their ample hips. Xu Qi'an surveyed the room but found no sign of the illustrious Huakui, a renowned beauty rumored to possess the charms that could captivate even the hardest heart. It seemed unlikely that she'd be here to entertain today. Tea gatherings didn't always revolve around drinking games. Sometimes they were simply a venue for music and dance. Huakui's appearances could be sporadic based on the mood of the guests. Besides, visitors enjoyed the freedom of space here. While the drinking games offered amusement, they also complicated personal exchanges. Several individuals came to form connections over sweet wine and blooming friendships, cherishing an atmosphere where they could mingle freely. As Xu Pingzi settled into his seat beside Xu Qi'an, he shrugged playfully and squinted. Looks like Miss Huakui isn't planning on making an appearance today. Xu Qi'an raised an eyebrow. What makes you think that? Simple, Xu Pingzi explained. These tea gatherings have a time limit. Typically, guests only linger for about an hour before they either leave or continue on to the next event. If they're not participating in those drinking games, it's a sign Miss Huakui won't show up. So, you understand the rules of the academy quite well, huh? Xu Qi'an observed, nodding, having gleaned some new knowledge. Just then, a vibrant dance concluded, and the performers took a moment to rest. A young scholar in pale green robes stood up, raising his cup and scanning the crowd. Is Lord Yongling here? He repeated the question thrice, but when no one answered, he sank back into disappointment. Nearby, a curious middle-aged gentleman dressed as a wealthy merchant leaned in. Who is this Lord Yongling you're searching for? Surely, you've heard? The scholar's chin lifted in haughty pride. Of course, you're aware of the line from his illustrious poem. The vivid realm of dawn dances with fleeting scents. Hues of twilight paint the shadows of despair. Hasn't it resonated through the halls of scholarly discussion? Ah, I recall something like that, the merchant said, pondering. That poem sent ripples through the literary circles when it was first released. It's regarded as a timeless masterpiece. Even the likes of you must have heard it. The scholar straightened himself, puffing out his chest. Only as scholars can create such artistry. Why are you so intent on finding him, though? The merchant inquired. Their conversation caught the attention of nearby patrons, who paused their own discussions, listening intently. Because that poem, that work of genius, was penned right here in the fragrant plum pavilion, gifted to Miss Huakui. It speaks of beauty intertwined, a profound sentiment, the scholar answered, pride lighting his features. No wonder fragrant plum pavilion is overflowing with visitors now. It's clear why Miss Huakui wouldn't show herself today. Indeed. I've heard she's decided to cease receiving guests altogether. A poem so exquisite does make one long to see Miss Huakui alongside such a talented poet. The young scholar sighed, deflating slightly. Yet Lord Yongling only ever appeared here once and then vanished without a trace. The Gojijian even sent someone to track him down in Xianxia County. But he was nowhere to be found. Now that's peculiar. Gasps filled the room. Brushing aside his own disappointment, the scholar lamented, each day I come to fragrant plum pavilion in hopes of encountering him. All the students in the capital are eager to connect with this enigmatic figure. Xu Pingzi chimed in, well, that's a stroke of luck. It seems Miss Huakui is no longer a prize we can hope to court. Zhu Guangxiao sighed wistfully. My backup account isn't accidentally inflating, is it? Xu Qi'an ducked his head and sipped his tea. Too bad you have a knack for solving cases but lack the talent for poetry. Xu Pingzi teased the newcomer with a grin. If you could craft a transcendent poem like Lord Yang, Miss Huakui might just consent to your advances. Consent? Xu Qi'an grinned, recognizing the essence of the conversation. Did you not hear the rumors circulating in town? They tell a fabricated tale of a wandering beauty and a destitute scholar whose chance verse elevates her worth. It benefits both parties. The more obscure scholars often find themselves lauded by such women. Xu Pingzi added, a devilish glint in his eye. Consider the case of the poet Lin Yizhang, a genius who, after being acclaimed as the top scholar, spent 3 months at the academy without paying a single coin for entertainment. At that moment, a maid serving the guests swiftly departed, her eyes catching Xu Qi'an's for a heartbeat before she rushed out of the room. Moments later, dressed in opulent silks, Miss Huakui emerged, her gown trailing behind like the petals of fresh blooms, and the decorations adorning her hair sparkled in the light, complementing her exquisite features. The fabric of her garment hugged her figure just enough to highlight her ethereal quality without veering into the realm of excess. She had certainly changed since the first time Xu Qi'an lay eyes upon her. Gone was the image of a simple beauty. Instead she wore the weight of status and grace, her reputation extending far beyond mere allure. Her gentle, captivating eyes scanned the guests before stopping at Xu Qi'an, causing a flutter of surprise in Xu Pingzi. Ah, did she just look at me? No, she looked at me, Chu Guangxiao interrupted, straightening in indignation. After greeting the guests with practiced poise, her melodic voice rang out. Allow me to present a dance to elevate our spirits. The room erupted in applause, shock resonating through the air. Who would have thought the famed beauty of the academy would deign to perform for them? Those with keen insight pondered deeper why. Being known for her dual talents in music and poetry, was she choosing to dance instead? Such grace! If only she would perform a heavenly piece for us. Xu Qi'an mused, indulging in the elegance before him while indulging in his own thoughts. As the dance concluded, Miss Huakui took a sip of wine. Her cheeks flushed as she gracefully retreated. Xu Pingzi held out his cup, laughing. Worth every coin spent. Chu Guangxiao nodded, sharing the sentiment. To witness Miss Huakui dance is quite a rare feat. Normally, she simply plays the zither. You, my friend, have arrived in the academy at the perfect time, Xu Pingzi said, raising his cup in a toast. In truth, what I seek is not just her dance, but an opportunity to remain in her presence, Xu Qi'an replied, his tone half joking, half serious. Just don't keep talking about it. You might just ruin your chance. As laughter filled the barrier of their shared camaraderie, a maid approached Xu Pingzi. Lord Yang, my lady requests your presence in her chambers for tea. A hush fell over the group. Xu Pingzi and Chu Guangxiao exchanged bewildered glances, their expressions carved from shock. Tomorrow, at dawn, I'm leaving, Xu Qi'an murmured, patting Xu Pingzi's shoulder as he rose with a grin. As soon as Xu Qi'an stepped out, a young scholar in pale green leapt up, his voice cracking with excitement. Lord Yang, you are Yang Ling. You really are him? Yang brother. Yang brother, I'm Du Ying. Xu Qi'an paused briefly, clasped his hands in greeting and followed the maid out, leaving a crowd of astonished faces in his wake, especially among the scholars who buzzed with delight. Their surprise registered in silent agreement as Xu Pingzi and Chu Guangxiao turned to one another. Bewildered expressions painted upon their faces. In a chamber warm as spring, surrounded by the fragrance of flowers, Xu Qi'an sank into the warm bath, breathing a sigh of relief. Miss Huakui was draped in sheer silk, her enchanting form clearly visible as she knelt beside the tub, her small, delicate hands running over his skin, soothing him. After not seeing you for a few days, you've grown even more handsome, she mused, gaze fixed on his sturdy physique, eyes sparkling with admiration. While Xu Qi'an had always been considered attractive, today he radiated an unexplainable charisma that evoked intrigue and allure. As long as it pleases you, I'll gladly change, he quipped, arching an eyebrow. Huakui flushed, playfully feigning indignation, all sweet words and flattery. You don't find me to your liking, do you? Who could resist embracing you all night without wanting anything else? The following morning, as the sun peeked through the curtains, Xu Qi'an awoke beside Huakui, contemplating the mesmerizing effect she had on him. It was a bit draining yesterday, he thought to himself, bemused, feeling like a weary old man seeking excuses for the fatigue he felt. To shift the topic, he inquired, "Are you cold?" Huakui nodded almost instantly, her voice tinged with sweetness. Cold. Well, let's warm up together, he replied, pulling her into the bath. Whoa! She exclaimed, the sudden plunge catching her off guard. Nestled in his embrace, Huakui playfully protested, how unfair. Perched on his lap, she draped her arms around his neck, teasingly challenging him with half-formed lines of poetry, her eyes sparkling in mischief. While Xu Qi'an was no stranger to words, his poetic wit sprang forth, captivating Miss Huakui with each verse, her cheeks glowing in response to his cleverness. By the way, have you heard about the fall of Lord Xu? Her casual inquiry piqued Xu Qi'an's interest. I have. I believe he was implicated by the valiant Lord Wei. Huakui's eyes twinkled as she regarded him. Apparently, Lord Xu harbored undisguised motives towards the daughter of Lord Wei. Indeed, beauty can be perilous, Xu Qi'an remarked, half amazed, half reflective. As a seasoned detective, he rarely allowed anyone to pry into confidential matters, but perhaps there lingered doubts in Huakui's mind, not entirely unmerited. Was it merely coincidence revealing what had transpired? The latest whispers he had shared with Huakui aligned too neatly with subsequent events unfolding around them. After witnessing you dance, I found myself inspired and composed a few lines. Xu Qi'an cuddled her close, murmuring, "May I share?" With affection, he began reciting. Sparkling dew on silver branches, echoes of laughter cast aside. In the shadows where dreams meander, the glow of laughter bids goodbye. Huakui's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. Is this how you aim to capture my heart? How cruel. Having indulged in poetry, the pair nestled on an exquisite couch. Xu Qi'an cast a glance at numerous paintings displayed beside them. Huakui's eyes brimmed with innocence, yet her cheeks glowed with a knowing blush, a blend of mischief and unfathomable allure. What are you thinking? Xu Qi'an teased, raising the stack of paintings in his grasp. At a loss for words, Huakui merely pursed her lips, offering no answer. Do you really think I'm so simple-minded as to need guidance? He chuckled, playfully tossing the paintings aside. That night, the bed of the celebrated beauty echoed with laughter until well past midnight. As dawn broke and the hour of the serpent approached, Xu Qi'an was attended by a slightly fatigued Huakui, who helped him into a finely tailored robe and presented his breakfast with an air of discreet affection. As they parted, her gaze carried an unmistakable promise. This morning, when Huakui's attendant looked at him with adoration in her eyes, Xu Qi'an felt as though he were floating through the air. Emerging from fragrant plum pavilion, he encountered two of his colleagues who appeared radiant with energy. No mention of a return of his silver coins in sight. Ah, the thrill of seeking a free romp. How could such a beauty possibly take me seriously? Xu Qi'an mused. With a nonchalant demeanor, he greeted the pair. Good morning, gentlemen. As they strolled shoulder to shoulder down the narrow street of the academy. Engaging in light banter, Xu Pingzi narrowed his eyes, unable to contain his curiosity. So, What was it like with Miss Huakui? The experience with her was quite slippery. Once back in the city, Xu Qi'an purchased a few bolts of silk before hiring a carriage to take him home to the Xu residence. His uncle Xu Tan had taken the day off to await any news. And Xu Qi'an found his younger sister Xu Lingyue absent-minded, her studies set aside, her demeanor distracted. Until Xu Qi'an returned with the fabric in hand, it was as if the weight of uncertainty lifted from their household. He clarified little about his recent endeavors, merely gesturing toward the silks, grinning. These are for my aunt and my sisters to make new garments. The pent-up frustrations experienced by his aunt evaporated instantly as he presented the fabric. She raised her delicate chin with renewed vigor. Little Xu Lingyue tugged at his sleeve, eager to clamber up, exclaiming, big brother, I saw sister secretly crying yesterday." Her face turned beet red in embarrassment. Though the playful jabs continued, Xu Qi'an offered her a gentle smile, then playfully kicked her lightly into the air before catching her as she fell. Their aunt gasped, and little Xu Lingyue laughed merrily, giggling uncontrollably. His uncle stood flabbergasted. "You've entered the qi refining stage." Upon Xu Qi'an's confirmation, his uncle radiated joy as though he were a proud father. In the study, Xu Qi'an relayed all that had transpired to his uncle and Tan Nian, leaving them wide-eyed in disbelief. "Why would the Grand Princess send someone to follow you?" Xu Tan Nian remarked. Confusion etched on his brow. "That's precisely what I wish to know," Xu Qi'an replied, considering the implications. "Could it be that I was the only outsider present during that unusual event?" he speculated. After the strange rumor concerning the Grand Princess circulated at the academy, she likely tasked someone with tailing the sole outsider. An understandable decision. Xu Tan Nian's demeanor shifted to seriousness. The Grand Princess possesses a profound intellect. She not only spent years studying in the academy but also shares a mentor-student bond with Wei Yuan. Her skill in strategy is unparalleled. You being recommended as a cannoneer certainly wasn't a mere whim. Big brother, should she call upon you in the future, don't be caught off guard. Always be cautious, and tread carefully. Sure, Xu Qi'an replied, absorbing the gravity of his brother's words. To have earned the respect and wariness of someone like Xu Qi'an highlighted the Grand Princess' cunning nature. After finishing, Xu Tan Nian suddenly lifted his chin. I've entered the body cultivation stage too. Now, I'm a scholar at the 8th rank of the Confucian hierarchy. That's fantastic. What powers come with your new rank? Xu Qi'an asked with enthusiasm. His brother's lips curled as he responded. It means, regardless of the throngs that may confront me, I will remain unchanged. At that, Xu Qi'an felt a rush of courage welling within him. He feared no battalion as long as he stood tall. Yet that fleeting strength ebbed away slowly, leaving him thoughtful. Self-cultivation is a trial of honing one's heart. A scholar at this level fosters belief through his very words and actions. Like just now, you instinctively found my reasoning sensible and followed along. Tomorrow, when I embark on my career as an official, I won't falter like you. No, I rely on my actual skills. You, on the other hand, are simply using the cheat code. Xu Qi'an internally scoffed. Does that not serve to build courage, providing an edge against uncertainty? Xu Qi'an's eyes sparkled as he met his uncle's gaze. From the beginning, Big Brother has always treated you kindly. Get lost. Xu Tan Nian interjected, waving his sleeve with annoyance before storming off. Brute. Back in his private courtyard, Xu Qi'an sat down for training, when he felt a sudden jolt. The small gemstone mirror hidden beneath his pillow shimmered to life. On its surface were inscribed words, 9. Where are you? Author's note: Observing the word count of this chapter may help explain the delays in posting. Translator's note: please create an account and leave a 5-star rating to boost our spirits. Chapter 72. The Taoist Sect of Earth. Xu Qi'an stared into the glass, his brow furrowing in bewilderment. A talking mirror? He was used to magic. But this was something else. What was it trying to ask him when it inquired? Number 9. Where are you? Did it mean that this mirror was called number 9? Number. If it had any sentience, it wouldn't need to ask. After all, they shared a space, sleeping side by side. Lost in thought, Xu Qi'an contemplated 4 questions. First, what kind of treasure was this mirror? Besides gathering items, could it also collect intelligence? Second, was this a message meant for him? If so, who was the sender? Third, who was the old Taoist who'd given him the mirror? And fourth, should he even respond? As a cautious person, Xu Qi'an adhered to the philosophy of if I pretend it doesn't exist, then maybe it won't. Quietly stowing the mirror away, he had no intention of answering it. But he also didn't know how he would respond. Venturing into the courtyard, he dunked his head into a large water jar, drying off with a handkerchief before leaving the small courtyard behind. He had joined the local policing organization, the Dragonfire, but his official start date was tomorrow, and they would need to prepare his identification and other necessities. It was still early, not even noon yet. Xu Qi'an headed to the Chang'an County office to inform his colleagues and the county magistrate, Xu, about his new position. The magistrate had already received word, as the Dragonfire had come to collect Xu Qi'an's records from there. Xu Qi'an invited his colleagues and Magistrate Xu to dinner that evening. A farewell gathering as well as a celebration of his promotion. The venue was naturally the Xiaoyu Pavilion, not far from the county office, a popular spot for official gatherings and camaraderie. Initially, he had planned to visit a local brothel for an afternoon of music and food. The farewell dinner began during the late afternoon and stretched into the early evening. Over the meal, Magistrate Xu lamented, "Ning Yan, you're a part of Chang'an County now. And with your promotion to Dragonfire, you bring good fortune to our community. I've always valued your contributions." He paused, raising his cup to drain it in one gulp. "If I can keep climbing." Magistrate Xu seemed to be the first truly trustworthy ally Xu Qi'an had in this competitive environment. Xu Qi'an understood and emptied his own cup in response. As the evening drew to a close, many of his fellow officers chose not to leave. The brothel owner summoned a group of charming young women into the room for the gentleman to select an evening companion. They were not bad looking if this were his past life. He'd have thought of them as a lineup of women from an upscale club. Xu Qi'an shook his head. Having tasted the sweetness of beauty in his past, he found the commonplace offerings to be a bit beneath him now. After arranging things for Magistrate Xu and the others, Xu Qi'an exited the Xiaoyu Pavilion and headed home. As he stepped through the courtyard gate, he noticed the door to his room was ajar, flickering candlelight spilling into the dim evening. Was his younger uncle looking for him? Stepping inside, he discovered a young woman in a long dress sitting by the table, propping her chin with one hand, her head nodding as she dozed off. Xu Qi'an quickly glanced around the room. Seeing no signs of intrusion, he felt relieved. I guess I should start writing in English," he muttered to himself, approaching to gently wake Xu Lingyue. "Where have you been, big brother?" Xu Lingyue blinked awake, her initial confusion turning into a smile. Her oval face glowed in the candlelight, smooth and immaculate like polished jade, her sparkling eyes radiating delight. "You look beautiful, sister," Xu Qi'an remarked, letting his admiration slip out. Xu Lingyue's cheeks flushed as she looked down, bashfully murmuring, "Why didn't you come home for dinner? Father thought you must have gone to some brothel. Uncle can be so..." understanding. But I wasn't. I just went to handle some matters at the office. I've joined the Dragonfire now and had to invite my colleagues for dinner. Still, she trailed off, glancing away shyly. I thought it was normal for someone in your position to spend leisure hours to unwind, especially after finally stepping up. As a practitioner, it was indeed unusual for someone to reach the qi refining stage after so many years of effort. And it was expected to celebrate such milestones. Did you have to drink then? She inquired innocently. If you're done, let me go and get some hot food from the kitchen for you. Xu Lingyu's lingering trust made Xu Qi'an feel somewhat touched. Outside of his uncle, she was the only one who truly cared for him in this household. Yes, it's dark, going outside isn't safe. I'll walk you back, he said. Though it was only 200 or 300 paces from the courtyard to the main gate of the Xu residence. It was indeed unsafe for a woman to walk alone at this hour. Yet, Xu Qi'an had other ideas. With a quick motion, he swept her into his arms and leapt high above the walls. As they landed on the other side, Xu Lingyu gasped and pushed him away, both embarrassed and angry. Big brother, why are you so reckless? Given that they were both 17 now, she felt it inappropriate for a brother to hold his sister in such a manner. In their childhood, they might have been allowed to hold hands, but such gestures were deemed overly familiar now in this conservative society. Her heart raced as she surged away from him, half in true anger and half in flustered embarrassment. Xu Qi'an sighed, reminding himself to be more mindful next time. In his past life, such casual physicality between men and women wasn't a big deal, even for newcomers meeting for the first time on crowded subways. Depending on the crowds and circumstances, their cheeks might flush together and hearts race with warmth. But now, in this archaic time of strict social rules, even siblings had to maintain proper boundaries. He realized he had been a bit careless. Watching Xu Lingyu disappear, Xu Qi'an felt a familiar pounding in his chest as he drew out the little jade mirror from his chest once more. The words, "Number 9. Where are you?" slowly appeared on its surface again. What was happening? The same question had been posed to him twice now, and ignoring it felt increasingly perilous. Leaning back against the wall, Xu Qi'an pondered before deciding to respond. There were two compelling reasons for him to answer. First, the mirror now belonged to him, and understanding its abilities could only prove advantageous. It was like holding an AK-47 but using it as a mere walking stick. Second, he suspected that this message originated from that old Taoist. If true, he could inquire about the reason behind gifting him such a treasure. Uncertainty could lead to trouble. "Ha ha, I'm bathing," he ventured, speaking into the mirror. No reaction. Xu Qi'an tried another tactic. With his fingertip as a pen, he wrote on the glass. A miraculous scene unfolded. The mirror revealed the words, "Number 3. Ha ha. I'm bathing." So it's a method of communication. Number 3 referred to the mirror itself, while the other party was number 9. Did they possess a mirror too? Number 9. Who are you? He scribbled. Silence ensued for a few moments. Then, a response came. Number 9. Where is brother Jin Lian? Is he alive or dead? How did you come by this mirror? Are you with the Tiandi Wei? It appeared brother Jin Lian was the Taoist master who had gifted him the mirror. And this number 9 referred to him as their senior brother, meaning they were from the same faction. Tiandi Wei. How could that be in this world? Needing to clarify his counterpart's identity, Xu Qi'an exhaled softly and wrote back, Number 3. I am not with the Tiandi Wei. This mirror was given to me by an old Taoist. Number 9. How can you prove that you are not from the Tiandi Wei? Give me your name. Xu Qi'an felt as if he were being asked for his address. As if someone was about to send him a gift. And instinctively chose not to answer. Number 3. Taoist. I'm just an inconspicuous nobody. Silence followed. Moments later, number 9 sent another message. Where is the Taoist who gave you this mirror? Number 3. I don't know. Xu Qi'an paused, awaiting further messages. Number 9. I am Ji Lian. The Taoist who gave the mirror to you was my master. This response came with more information. This mirror is a treasure of our sect. Ha ha, if my master gifted it to you, it seems you are no ordinary person. You must have heard of our sect's great reputation. Xu Qi'an wrote back. Number 3. Sorry, but I haven't heard anything about it. He sensed the other side fall quiet for a while, the frustration almost palpable. Number 9. The Taoist originally divided our sect into heaven, earth, and human branches. So, they were members of the Taoist sect. Xu Qi'an was taken aback. Chapter 73. The Awakening. 3. What exactly is the Celestial Earth Society? 9. The Celestial Earth Society is a cult that has long coveted our sect's treasure. The Earth Tome. It allows messages to be sent over vast distances. Previously, I received a distress signal from Brother Jin Lian, who had come to the capital of the Great Phoenix, believing it to be the only place where he could escape the Celestial Earth Society's pursuit. But when I arrived, I lost contact with him. It's only now, through the Earth Tome, that I learned he entrusted it to you. His situation must be dire. He couldn't afford to keep the Earth Tome and chose to save his life instead. Xu Qi'an spat in frustration. Are you serious? You just tossed this mess into my lap. 9. Who exactly are you? That Brother Jin Lian would trust you with the Earth Tome. I'm just a lowly patrolman. No. I'm merely a minor member of the law enforcement. An unsettling chill washed over Xu Qi'an. 3. Why would abandoning the Earth Tome guarantee one's safety? Can members of the Celestial Earth Society trace its location? He was quick to grasp the crux of the problem. 9. This is tied to a secret of our sect. I cannot divulge it. The Earth Tome is our treasure. I hope you'll return it to me. And in return, I'll be deeply grateful. 3. All right. How do I return it to you? Xu Qi'an hesitated, coveting the powerful artifact that could store items. But considering the risks of carrying it, he chose to listen to his instincts. 9. I am in the capital and can visit you anytime. If you doubt my intentions, you can select the meeting place. I want cold, hard silver. Xu Qi'an nearly shouted. 3. A polite response from a master. The object rightfully belongs to its original owner. However, Brother Jin Lian did mention this was a celestial treasure, and he offered to sell it to me for 500 gold taels. I am not asking for wealth myself. Yet should I return this treasure to its rightful owner, I should rightfully return the 500 taels too. Fair exchange, wouldn't you agree? 9. That is how it should be. He tucked the mirror safely away, cradled the dream of 500 gold taels, and sank into sleep. The next day, he donned his patrolman's outfit and fastened the insignia at his chest. He met with his uncle for breakfast after scaling the walls of his family home. Upon exiting Shu Manor, he took the reins from Old Man Zhang at the gate and sped off into the inner city towards the patrolman's headquarters. This horse had belonged to his uncle and now belonged to Xu Qi'an, though he had to part with 50 taels of silver to quiet his uncle's concerns. It wasn't a monumental cost. The patrolman's headquarters lay deep within the capital, too far for a leisurely stroll if he walked there. Everyone would be finishing their midday meal by the time he arrived. He rushed into the headquarters and entered Spring Breeze Hall. where Li Yuxuan was drinking tea with another officer. "Your new subordinate?" the unfamiliar officer asked, eyeing Xu Qi'an. "Yeah," Li Yuxuan replied, nodding. "Ranking?" the other officer inquired. Without waiting for Xu Qi'an to respond, Li Yuxuan said, "Junior patrolman." Surprised, the officer commented, "Not bad. The headquarters needs young talent like you. The future of the patrol will depend on people like you." The latter remark was directed at Xu Qi'an. Xu Qi'an performed a respectful bow, then got to the point. "Boss, I'd like access to the documents vault." Unsure of the vault's location or the permissions required, he felt a tad lost. "Should you need anything in the future, you can approach the officials directly," Li Yuxuan advised. Understood. He exited Spring Breeze Hall. Hierarchy was vital in this line of work. As a subordinate, he was expected to avoid bothering his superiors with trivial matters. He grabbed an official and inquired about the document vault's location, moving towards a large courtyard. Presenting his insignia to a dressed-in-black official who verified it, the official said, "The document vault is categorized into 4 sections: A, B, C, and D. You may only access Area D to read public documents." Thinking for a moment, Xu Qi'an asked, "How do I know which area has the materials I need?" The official chuckled politely, "Just go to the D section and ask." The 4 areas, A, B, C, and D, reflected a hierarchy where D was the most basic and largest. Aligning with pyramid logic, the more elaborate the documents, the scarcer they were. Entering the D area, Xu Qi'an approached the reception desk. "I'm looking for information about the Dao sect." The clerk behind the desk retrieved a thick ledger, searched for a considerable length of time, and finally looked up. "Sir, please wait a moment." He vanished into the depths of the document vault. Shortly, he returned holding a book and exchanged it for Xu Qi'an's insignia. Xu Qi'an requested, "Could I have a cup of hot tea?" He moved along the long table in the hall, ready to dive into the material. The Dao sect traced its roots back to the Dao sovereign, whose era was no longer verifiable. Legends held that the Dao sovereign was an ancient miracle worker, with 3 celestial beings arising from a single primordial essence: the primordial heavenly sovereign, the Dao virtue heavenly sovereign, and the spiritual treasure heavenly sovereign. Together, they formed a trinity with the harmony of heaven, earth, and humanity. This is what sustained the Dao sect's core tenet of these 3 components. The heavenly and human sects were like fire and water, each claiming to be the true Dao lineage, intent on annihilating the other. The earth sect rarely made appearances, not contending for fame or fortune, so many assumed that only the heavenly and human sects existed. Salty fish make hearts ache, Xu Qi'an noted internally. Right now, contention over the Dao lineage is probably the greatest conflict. He added in his mind, this might be a fight for supremacy. But his sister-in-law was unbeatable in this world. He continued reading and realized the Earth sect's designation as salty fish held truth. The Earth sect worships the Dao virtue heavenly sovereign, fulfilling countless virtuous deeds. They wandered the world, seldom in the limelight, performing good deeds without seeking recognition regarding it as achieving virtue. Virtue. Xu Qi'an furrowed his brow, pondering. In a sense, virtue equaled luck. People often said, doing good accrues merit, and a good person will receive good returns. Virtue signifies blessings, which aligns closely with fortune. So, that old Taoist from the Earth sect recognized his unique luck. Did he pick up on his fortunate nature and comfortably tossed this hot potato his way? Damn it, didn't he cultivate virtue? Why act immorally then? Xu Qi'an silently cursed. He expanded his thoughts, contemplating if the odd luck that surrounded him was also a manifestation of virtue. Yet his family had been ordinary folk for generations until his uncle's generation saw a little prosperity all while the two brothers stumbled their way through life. They hadn't yet achieved notable deeds and had taken lives on the battlefield instead. Just then, an attendant brought over his hot tea. Striking up casual conversation. "Are you investigating the human sect?" "No, I'm looking into the Earth sect." Xu Qi'an responded. "Ah, our national advisor is a top figure from the human sect," the clerk replied. "Sir Gui isn't fond of female leaders from the Dao sect." "Female leaders from the Dao sect? Ah, that legendary beauty," Xu Qi'an suddenly realized. Had previously only known the current emperor was obsessed with pursuing immortality, even elevating a stunning Taoist priestess to national advisor. Who would have guessed she hailed from the human sect? With the Heavenly Bureau's officials, the Tao sect's human sect, the patrol design, and the army of the Great Phoenix, the capital resembled a small pond brimming with dragons. It made sense now why 9 mentioned that the Celestial Earth Society dared not enter the capital. "Chief Jin Lian, let's see if you dare to approach here." "Celestial Earth Society assassin. You dare to die?" "Ha. Ha. Ha." Xu Qi'an grinned. "Find me more information on the Celestial Earth Society and the Earth Tome." "You're familiar with the Earth Tome, right?" "Celestial treasures." He paused, considering. "If I want to access the depths of A, B or C sections, what's the procedure?" The clerk smiled. "Sections A and B correspond to the gold and silver offices. You can only enter Section A with an official's report documented by our national advisor. However, the information regarding the Celestial Earth Society and the Earth Tome you seek can be found in Section D as well." Seeing Xu Qi'an's stunned expression, he added explanation. "The Celestial Earth Society is just a typical sect from the rivers and lakes. The Earth Tome is an ancient magical artifact with limited confidentiality. Allow me to check the ledger for you." With that, he headed back to the reception area. Xu Qi'an watched the clerk leave, realizing that he had fallen into a flawed mindset, believing that the older an artifact, the more significant. In reality, the opposite was often true. The older it was, the less valuable it tended to be. The true valuable secrets lay in contemporary matters, such as military intel, border strategies, explosives manufacturing, siege weapons, and shipbuilding. In the future, he bet that in the A Vault, there would be a top-secret file titled Interactions Between Humans and Beasts, authored by Song Qing. Xu Qi'an. Quickly, the clerk retrieved the documents on Earth Tome and the Celestial Earth Society. Xu Qi'an couldn't wait, eagerly flipping through the pages, prioritizing understanding the organization related to his safety. In the martial world, there were thousands of organizations and sects. None were particularly noteworthy. They operated in gray areas, bending the rules while adhering to the fundamental governance of the state. Only a few powerful factions maintained deep-rooted influences, distancing themselves from the court. Their existence forged a precarious stability, sometimes leading to mutual self-destruction. The Celestial Earth Society, however, was merely a common gang. According to the records, it emerged 60 years ago, during a great drought in Yanzhou that pushed starving refugees into banditry. Natural and man-made disasters culminated in chaos, drawing suppression from local factions combined with the state's force, where the Celestial Earth Society served as one among them. At a glance, they seem like a chivalrous band. But sometimes doing good doesn't automatically make one good. Just as charity might spring from less than noble motives, Xu Qi'an mused. It could all be a facade for gaining prestige. Taking a sip of tea, he continued perusing the document. The Celestial Earth Society didn't operate in the light but rather dwelled in shadows, and records regarding them were scarce. After finishing his read, Xu Qi'an realized he hadn't yielded much. Finding nothing is the norm. Forcing an Earth sect master to flee to the capital signifies its colossal strength. A group like this, managing to elude the intelligence network of the patrol, makes sense. He pondered, should he report this to Xu Qi'an and enrich the document vault with this information? Let's hold off for now. He had no intention of sharing this news, even if it offered potential attainments for himself. 500 gold taels far outweighed any privilege he could gain from this information. A treasure like the Earth Tome, who wouldn't covet it? What if one of the gold officers had their eye on his prize and demanded he surrender it to the treasury? 1. He snapped the book shut and turned to the document about the Earth Tome. The Earth Tome was an ancient treasure, its origins shrouded in mystery, believed to have been left behind by Dao Sovereign, who now faded into the annals of time. The documentation didn't even delve into the functionalities of the Earth Tome. Instead, there was a note indicating that most ancient treasures like this were birthed from nature, wrought by no hands of man. They shared a unique characteristic: the need for blood to recognize its master. Blood to recognize the master? Xu Qi'an exulted. Circling back, this meant that it required blood to bond. The artifact Song Qing had given him, the insignia of the patrol, only needed qi to operate. There had been no concept of recognition of ownership involved. In essence, they served as mere tools, usable by anyone who wielded them. Xu Qi'an felt that in this world, the concept of blood binding did not exist. He pulled out a small jade glass from his chest and unsheathed a 2-inch blade from the patrol insignia, pressing its edge against his fingertip. Crimson blood streamed out as he smeared it across the pristine surface of the jade. The blood pooled there for a few seconds before slowly vanishing, absorbed by the glass. A moment later, his surroundings began to blur: the table, the cups of tea, all fading into a formless void. In that nebulous chaos, 8 glowing dots hovered. Did these 8 glimmering spots represent 8 other mirrors? Adding his own made a total of 9. Xu Qi'an glanced around, intent on locating 9. But how could he identify which luminous point corresponded to number 9? I'll just choose one at random and add a friend. He raised his hand and pointed to the nearest glowing dot. The moment he did, the dot rippled, sending waves rippling across the entire chaotic expanse. Xu Qi'an felt as though he had drifted into a dream as the scene around him sharpened. He found himself in the lobby of the document vault, surrounded by a few books and cups of tea, alongside the seemingly normal jade glass. But he understood this wasn't a dream. After recognizing blood as the bond, the glass and he formed a miraculous connection, imbued with an unbelievable, unfathomable loyalty. At that moment, letters gradually materialized within the glass, reading: 6. Don't trust 9. Don't respond. Don't respond. Don't respond. 1. The treasury refers to the central storage for state assets. In the context of the story, it's where confiscated or valuable items are kept.
Thanks for listening till the end. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next chapter.